Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of Sigmar and Son. And today we're going to go into the latest news, what we've been working on, and kind of dissect some of the artifacts of the realms and go with, not go through all of them. That might take hours, but just kind of go through some of our favorites and just have a good time talking Warhammer, Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, there's a lot of artifacts.
Yeah. There's what? How many realms times 6 weapons and 6 artifacts each?
It's like 84, I think, right? There's 84 artifacts. Something like that.
Something like that. So lots of
large number.
So what's new since last show?
A lot
of stuff. So since last show, we have the Stormcast Eternals Battle Tome came out, and also in there were rules for 2 of the endless spells for Stormcast Eternals, and there were the Night Haunt Battle Tome and 2 endless spells for the Night Haunts. And we can talk about those later. I have picked up the Night Haunt Battle Tome, so I would have the scrolls for that. I don't have the other one yet. Lady Olander, Mortarch of Grief, the gal with the ghost veil.
Ghost Bride.
Ghost Bride.
There's a movie or something called Ghost Bride, or maybe it's Zombie Bride.
Do you know what she has? Boo. Never mind. And Crawlock the Jailer. He is out also. And I could share, I guess, some of that. I'm going to share when the pre-orders. We'll share all of that.
Sounds good.
And today, there were a ton of pre-orders that went up. I guess I could share. Should I share that? I suppose. But anyway, we have for Night Haunt, Kurdos, the Craven King, and Kurdos Valentian, the Craven King. And he's the guy sitting on the chair.
The throne.
Yeah.
It's like 2 dudes around him.
Yeah, he's kind of got the Cetra type line. Like he doesn't serve or something. If I can't rule, no one else can. His power. Kind of interesting. And Reikenor, the Grim Hauler. So he's basically your named character on a steed. And then also the Dreadblade Harrows are out. Let me go ahead and
pop up the GW site.
Pop up the GW site, as it were. So
lock it on YouTube. Don't forget that.
Share, and then I gotta do this here to say present to everyone to be me.
I believe so.
Okay, so over here we can see our site here, and so we have Kurdos. So like I said, he's pretty, and I'm really looking forward to getting him, and his war scroll is pretty good from what I read.
So he's sweet looking.
He is sweet looking. I mean, I think he's the coolest Night Haunt looking model.
Now, instead of like this banner guy, I wish it was a jester. I think that would be like cool to play into like the whole like king thing, but I digress. I was saying I think that it'd be sweet if the like instead of the banner, it was like a jester and kind of like play into the whole like king thing. I don't know. I just thought that'd be sweet. So I digress.
They're gonna spin them. So what's weird is all of their pictures. I was trying to figure this painting out myself. It looks like this is more black.
It's I actually figured it out. It's Rhinox hide they used.
Okay. You mean Nagaroth Night or whatever? Or?
No, isn't that
brown?
I believe that's Rhinox hide. Yeah, they used I don't know. I think Peachy made a video on it.
Okay. Anyway, it's certainly different than the green stuff that they've been showing. I like this a lot better. So backing up, here you can see Reikenor the Grimhauler, Haler. So that is a cool model too.
His base is nice. It's a nice base.
Got a lot of nice work on the base. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking him up. I guess I'm going to be all in somewhat on this armory. And really $40 doesn't seem too bad for him.
Oh, not at all. Even Lady Olander was only like what, $50? That just seems like
she was much cheaper. I think she was 45 or 40, but she was pretty small compared to stuff. She was
but I mean still just for like it just seems like a great deal.
She was the size of Marathi, the non-monster Marathi. So then they got the Dreadblade Harrows. So you got some extra mounted cavalry, which are going to be good.
Also look good.
Right. So adding, here we're over here. That's the Nighthaunt Stormcast. We got failing in the internet again. Stormcast. We got the Ballista at $25 with the 2 models plus the Ballista, and this thing apparently is just broken.
Apparently, it's very, very good with what's his nuts?
The Hammerhand.
Ordinator.
Even with the new one where he's not.
Well, he's 140 points.
But
apparently it's really good.
Changed his scrolls, right, from Malign Portents to now.
I don't believe so. I think he's just more expensive.
I don't think he doubles the number of attacks anymore. I thought he added the hits. Anyway, that's not going to tell me. So yeah, you can see these guys again, pretty cool looking thing, and they got some nice.
It's a nice look at the base there.
We got some nice bases as well on this thing.
Seems like everything that's like easy to build coming out is on like the Shadespire-esque bases, if you will.
Right. And then so they got the Evocators, and the easy to build. Here's the other guy that they got. Might have to do a view all to get him. He was a Astria Soulbright. Yeah, here he is, and he's their new thing. And if there was one thing that would want to make me consider running Stormcast, this guy's pretty cool. And look at this again. Look, you're talking about bases. Look at this base.
I know. I'm jealous
with this stuff down here. I mean, just awesome.
They're trying to put green stuff rollers out of business.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, so again, this model. I don't know if we want to. On a quick look at he's a double thing of spells. So
yeah, he's great.
He's just really good. He's got this Thunderous Pounce, reroll charges, just tons of good stuff for him.
Maybe we'll do a video where we do a more in-depth look at stuff.
Right. So also, I'm pulling up my Games Workshop Chesterfield page because it shows sort of everything that came out all in one thing. Some new starter sets came out, and you can see there was a Tempest of Souls starter set, a Night, which is what it comes with.
It's like a mini Soul Wars.
Yeah, so it's like the mini Soul Wars, and it's kind of a starter set with smaller stuff, only 32 minis, I guess, instead of whatever more. And then they've got an even smaller starter set, which I believe is like $40, which is just sort of
it's like kind of like the basic units.
Like 1 unit against 1 unit.
Yeah.
And then they got they got the Stormcast Eternals paint set. And that guy's got 3 Sequitors. And you can also see there's the Glaive Wraith Stalkers and paint set.
Yeah, those are actually really good deals because they come with the $25 easy to build kit, and then if you add the 6 paints in there, like that's like $20-something worth of paints because what a GW paint is usually $3-ish to $4 depending. So
they did say they were full size bottles.
Yeah, and they're Nighthaunt Gloom, I suppose you get a smaller version of, but all of them are 12 millimeter bottles, which is the standard GW size of paint pots as opposed to the mini paint, the half paint pots you would get with the older versions.
So, yeah, then the other thing is we got the start collecting. There's 2 new start collecting sets that came out, which is basically just the old starter.
Old starter set split in half, Corn and Stormcast.
Yeah, so, you know, if you're buying the new thing and you want to pick up those models, then that's still going to be a pretty good buy at $85 for those.
And there's also a $125 version which comes with the book. It's just adding the book. It's not, you're not getting a deal on the book.
Right. And so that's it, except for some pre-orders went live for Warhammer Legends. And do they have them up here? Probably got.
Yeah, they're right there.
They were there.
They're right here.
Here they are. Yeah. So they got Greasiest Goldtooth, and honestly, I don't remember him.
He's a big fat ogre thing.
Big fat ogre thing. Gorbat Ironclaw. Looks like on a pig, an orc on a pig.
Yeah, we have that downstairs, don't we?
No, we have a different guy. Vince would like this guy because he's a pig. I'm skipping the one. Zacharias, the Ever Living. And then there's two. Oh, and Grom the Paunch. So an orc, kind of an orc chariot with being pulled by wolves. And then the 2 most important ones, because everybody knows I'm Tomb King fan. They have Cetra, the Imperishable. The main man himself is back. And Tomb Queen, or Khalida. Don't know where her scroll is at.
I think she's in the bottom.
Probably in the bottom. There it is. And I wanted to bring this up because I have a metal. I was thinking of ordering one of these because mine is metal. And I was just amazed at the amount of detail on this model with the, although it's fine cast. Look at this snake on here wrapping around her and stuff. And then the scarab inside and stuff. And I don't think my metal had in this snake. Maybe I'm just too blind to be able to see it. But
it might have just been like the detail was hard to see, but I don't remember seeing it either.
Yeah, so it's quite whatever. The Cetra one, I had a fine cast one, and these are fine cast also, so that's what this is for him. And I'm just hopping all over. Where am I at? But I guess I thought the Cetra, my little mini rant. They basically came out with rules for him. They came out with war scrolls for all of these. So so they basically at one point made Cetra be this generic Tomb King on Exalted Chariot, and Mark's rolling his eyes. And everything's pretty much the same, except they got rid of his ability to fire everybody else's command points off. If he's the general, everybody else could use their command abilities for free. And so he doesn't have that anymore. So it was kind of like, I guess Archaon had that ability, right? And so now they just totally got rid of that. And that really downgrades him a lot. So most of these other things are pretty similar. He can make a unit fly still. He can roll mortal wounds. He's got the curse. And he did say war. You can reroll hits and wound rolls of 1. It used to add 1 to hits or wound rolls. So that's reroll ones is not as good, especially when you had a spell. Your Necromancer or whatever had the spell that basically on a 6+ added attacks, exploded attacks. So this was like helping explode attacks, and now that doesn't work anymore. But they did double all of the attacks, including this blade. So on a charge, he does get 8 attacks, whereas before he only got 6. And so Tomb Queen, she looked very much similar to before. Again, the problem I basically said was because of the Cetra nerf. If you're running as Cetra, she has to be general of the army to use her command ability to make all the archers get extra to shoot better. So
Also, the Tomb King is just generally better.
Right. Unless you're just running like a 800 archer army.
Sure.
So, back to how do I go to you? All right. I stopped screen sharing.
Yeah, I don't know if you're still presenting to everyone or not.
I present to everyone, and then I have.
You're still presenting. All right. I don't think you were presenting to everyone during that entire time, but that's fine.
Probably not. Yep, because I suck. So, I guess the next thing is like sort of hobby. What have you been working on? Anything?
I bought Zinch. Does that count?
Yeah, you bought it. You traded.
I got some Zinch. So I got a lot of Zangors and stuff, and I got a Lord of Change. Despite Zinch being nerfed, I still think they're great. Still great.
Yeah.
Unless I'm going up against this artifact we're going to be talking about later. I'll point it out when we get there.
Right.
That'll be my mini rant for the day.
Right. So,
You've been probably working on a lot more than me.
yeah, I was supposed to do a whole lot more today, but I didn't. But I primed stuff.
My stuff.
Yeah, I guess in the last I built all the malign portents. Malign portents. Where'd that come from?
Soul Wars.
I built the Night Haunts half of Soul Wars, and I built all the malign sorcery models. You know, you can maybe see them back there, all the colored things. So yeah, I built all those guys, and had hurting fingers because I really should have just clipped them all off. Because trying to get some of them trying to get them to go together, and push fit and not show a seam was bad.
The Purple Sun gave you a headache putting that thing together.
Yeah, although that wasn't too bad. Although I don't know, you can kind of see he's got a bad belly showing. Can we see? You see his.
You can't really see the seam on the.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, he was kind of a.
So that seam, I don't know what to do with that.
Green stuff it.
Or the good thing is it's all rough. Hey, and
yeah, that is true.
I saw one, and I got to talk about it. One thing like this that somebody did for Purple Sun for their
Ideneth.
Did you see that? It was.
I saw it. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was a puffer fish, people.
Yeah.
The guy basically threw fins on it and a tail back here and fins down here.
That was wonderful.
Wonderful. So, hey, and that brings a topic I wanted to talk about. I know it was talked about on some of the other Warhammer shows, so I was going to throw out my 2 cents on it. They're talking about the basing for these things, and our TO is going to penalize people if the basing of this doesn't match the basing of the rest of their army.
No.
Well, some people are thinking it should, and I agree with you. I say no. I mean, I think it's a spell. It's a utility spell.
It's going to go in a lot of different armies. I'm not matching it to my stuff.
Right. I think if when it's summoned and so it's magic, you could just have a generic, the Purple Sun could have a generic death-ish type of base on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, it's a death type thing. I think that's the way to go with it. I don't think that having one, I mean, you can go nuts with it and maybe get bonus points. I know like Vince Ventrilla was talking about having the cogs and having a bunch of orcish ruins on his cogs and stuff for his orc.
I saw people doing that already. They grabbed a it was like a 40k orc thing from the one of like the big mechs, and they put it over their cog, and it looked nice.
Oh, one of the transfers.
No, it was like an actual like orc piece, like one of the like the rusted metal orc pieces that you put on like some of the vehicles that you get extras of in 40K, and they put that on the cog.
Extra
It looked,
copies.
it looked sweet.
So, yeah, and I'm all for that. And if you want to make it look better, that's great. And you know, if you, that's to me is, I know at Adepticon they sort of had like a max paint score, right? So you had a 0 to whatever, and then you hit the max paint or whatever. And those would be bonus points, I think, right? Where you kind of going above and beyond for bonus points, and it might help you get best painted. But I don't think that it should be like held against you if you don't paint them specially to match your army, because that's just otherwise, you know, I'm not buying. And I know people are eBaying separate ones,
Right.
but it just seems silly.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my little soapbox there. So what today? So I was doing that. I did a little bit of painting. I did just 4 of the test models for the
Slavery stalkers.
Glaive Ray Stalkers, but I didn't like. I don't think I liked what I ended up with. I did sort of the Nighthawk Gloom and the green one. So I basically did the wisps in green and the Nighthawk Gloom for the cloaks and some dry brushing, and it just doesn't look right. I like the look of
the box art
much better.
Or you're gonna. I think that's probably like Incubi Darkness on the cloak, and then Nighthawk Gloom as the like the ethereal wisp thingy, dry brush with like Ulthuan Gray on the bottom working up.
Right. Or a little bit of what's the other one that they came out with when they came out with the Malignants? Night Oxide or whatever.
Yeah, Nighthawk Oxide.
Nighthawk Oxide might be in there somewhere too. But yeah, anybody saying anything? Are you watching?
Yeah, I'm talking. Someone asked when our next tournament is, and I said we have no idea.
The next tournament that we're going to, or
the next tournament we're going to. Do you know what that is, Father? Because the only confirmed next tournament I know that we're going to is Adepticon.
Maybe. Yeah, I got in trouble about that because I basically, mom and wife wanted to go on vacation that weekend, and I said that was a weekend we couldn't go, and so I was in trouble.
Well, we won't talk about that here.
Yeah, she won't know. Anyway, no, yeah, I'm planning on Adepticon. I think that the next tournament what's the team tournament for the Holy Hammer or what?
Holy Wars.
Holy Wars team tournament.
Trying to get into that.
We're on the wait list. I think we're number 1 on the wait list for that. I looked. There's some event. There's really nothing up at Gen Con if we would even go. I don't think we are. We might run up there on a Saturday just to it's 4 hours away. So we might show up there to just kind of do some other gaming and chatting with people. But I didn't see any big Age of Sigmar stuff there.
Yeah, we'll see.
We need to run a tournament here in St. Louis. And
Siege World. Right? That's that one thing that's in like August. They're running the GT there.
Yeah, yeah.
We do plan on going to that. Good call out.
Who said that?
Shiny Dragon Games.
Shiny Dragon Games. Cool. Yeah, Siege World, we'll have to look into that. So I guess that kind of catches us up on everything, right?
I think so.
Put the Stormcast guys together yet. And I guess my next goal is really, well, you know, the other thing I did is I picked up, and this is from my buddy Joe up at Miniature Market, picked up some of their tiny terrain, and I'm going to use it to make some, they had some like walls and stuff, and I'm going to make it some Shadespire terrain on the Shadespire board for the places you can't move through. Because, I mean, it's just so simple to do with these pieces. They kind of like arcane runes, basically, but much cheaper and resin. So, yeah, you may want to look up those. So, yeah, I guess next for me is Nagash. I have a Nagash I've had sitting around for a while, and it seems like now's the time to get him going. And
yeah, he's sweet now.
Building a Nighthawk army with Nagash. Although, I guess I have to read more. I don't think he can actually run the Night Haunt rule book. He has to run Legion. They have to be Night Haunts in Legions of Nagash.
I believe you might be right. I don't know. I haven't looked much into it. I've been doing a lot of Tzeentch army building recently.
I've been doing a lot of school things because
I do have school 5 days a week right now with working both weekend days. So
right. So we're a little limited. So yeah, we wanted to go through, and I tell you what, it is kind of crazy right now with what's where, right? So we have, if you're basically building for fun or whatever, you can grab stuff. But if you were trying to build an army, I almost think a beginner doesn't even know where to start, right? So if you go to the War Scroll Builder, it's like, I can build this army, and what is this artifact, and how do I get an artifact or whatever?
yeah, we kind of talked about this last week. I think the artifacts, maybe not the spells so much, because the spells are more like play with them or not, but like in match play, the artifacts, you like pick where you're coming from, and then you can substitute those artifacts. I think those should have been in the core rulebook personally.
Or General's Handbook, I think, because they changed
either or, yeah, something
that would allow them to change. I mean, look at the even like the death allegiance abilities, right? They're in the core rule book, right? But they used to be in the General's Handbook, and they changed. I know the death ones changed every General's Handbook. Like the Ring of Immortality is the one I'm talking about. It changed.
Yeah.
Was to what in General Handbook. Then in the General Handbook 2018, it was different, and then they added it to be something else.
Yeah.
Although now I guess with free reinforcements, it really doesn't matter. So yeah, but we thought that there's 80 something, I don't know what, 96 realms artifacts or something. We thought we'd kind of go through each of the realms and not go through every single artifact, but just kind of pull out some of the ones we liked and point out all the broken ones. I did check today. The one thing that I'm anxiously awaiting for is the FAQ, the 2-week FAQ for the rules.
Yes, I'm also.
We have heard, I guess people probably watching heard of Six Nations was the first Age of Sigmar event, and there was some really insanely broken stuff that came out during that, like goblins doing 128 damage. I don't exactly know how that one happened, but I guess
I know Lord Croak did a lot of damage too.
Yeah, and Croak.
Engine of the Gods, OP.
Yeah, so it's sad because I was looking at doing the Seraphon list, and I'm like, wow, I really figured this. I figured out this really cool thing with the 2 engines of the god and a Croak and
so did everyone else.
And apparently I wasn't very brilliant because everybody else was looking at that too. So yeah, let's go through. I guess just start with the artifacts of Gairan, the Realm of Life. And so each of these have 6 artifacts and 6 weapons.
6 artifacts of power, 6 artifacts, or no, they're all artifacts of power. One is a weapon, one is a relic.
Right.
I tend to think the relics are better than all the weapons.
We tended to be that, right. We tended to, when we went through and looked at the things we liked, it tended to be, as I get some glasses on, to be able to read some of these, the relics versus the weapons we tended to like. So Mark, you want to start with what you picked here for the artifact, the Realm of Life?
Yeah, for the Realm of Life, I was either debating between the Green Glade Flask and the Jade Diadem, which you're going to be talking about after this. I went with the Green Glade Flask. I might be wrong, but once per battle in your hero phase, the bearer can drink from the flask. If they do, heal D6 wounds allocated to them. I was kind of thinking like this might be good in well, at first I was like, oh, it'd be really good in a Nurgle force or like just a big fatty defensive force. But then I was like, man, they heal so much anyway. They probably don't need it. And then I was thinking that the what's the Stormcast dude on the dragon? What's his name?
Lord
Celestin on the big drag on Star Drake. I thought that maybe this might be good for them because they're pretty tanky, and they're probably not going to die in one go, and then they can just from this, and then like also be tanky, like because on average you're going to heal 3 to 4 wounds. Those guys have high saves anyway, and they're going to likely be re-rolling one, so they're not going to hopefully not have that many wounds on them. But this could just be too situational because they could just get blown up and never be able to use it. I don't know.
A low wound hero, you wouldn't want to put this.
Oh yeah, never. You want this on your big fatty.
Right, and same with the other one, the Jade Diadem.
Yeah.
And that one is each time you make a successful save roll of 6 or more for the bearer, heal 1 wound allocated to them. And so again, I'm thinking this is good for like the great unclean one, a big fatty with a lot of wounds, big tanky high hit point hero. And then I'm kind of questioning how this works, but I think this works this way, is that that any saves you make of a 6 can basically negate the wounds that you take in that same volley or same attack. So like, let's say you got hit 10 times and you needed to make 10 wound saves, and you missed 5 and saved and somehow rolled 5 6s. I assume that you would basically end up and they were all 1 damage. I assume that you would end up taking 0 damage there. So that's kind of why I think that's better. And it's a 6 or more. So I don't know if you can stack things adding to your save wounds.
I'm sure I don't know stuff out there, but I'm sure there is, yeah.
But I'm sure there's some spell that's going to stack that is going to combo with much better. And then I wanted to talk about one more thing. I know we were saying one thing, and this is something called the Hyper Snare Seeds. And basically that is at the end of your opponent's shooting phase. So this is basically an action you can take during your opponent's turn, which I kind of like. Pick an enemy unit within 8 inches of the bearer that is visible to them and roll a die, and on a 5-up, that unit may not charge in the subsequent charge phase. So if you get some people, 3 inches away from you, or, you could roll a 5-up and they're just stuck. And that's good against, I guess, people that, it's only a 5-up and it's only one unit per turn. So again, somewhat situational, but good against like people that get like extra slam damage on attack on charges and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So and just destroying somebody's charge. It's got to be fun, right? Destroying somebody's plan. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, I like it because it messes with people. I shouldn't say that, but no, I mean, just kind of being snarky about that. But yeah.
You can tell he likes Counterspell and Magic of the Gathering.
Counterspell is the best spell ever. Well, not really. Force of Will was. And
we digress.
Yeah. We're going to talk about this stuff when we get Haywill on.
Yeah.
Talk about broken combos. We wanted to do that this weekend, but we thought we'd wait till the FAQ because it didn't. Maybe things we talk about would all be changed. Which is why we're not talking about Seraphon Summoning.
Yep. All right. Next, we got the Artifacts of Gur, right?
Right. Which is this.
That's the Realm of Peace, right? Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So I got the Grith Feather Charm. I'm sure you all know about the Grith Feather Charm.
This is one that they spoiled.
They spoiled it. It was talked about on Warhammer Weekly. It's very good. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target the bearer. In addition, add 1 inch to the bearer's move characteristic. So that's really, really good. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. You just make your guy more resilient.
Yeah, it's subtract.
Like you make a guy that's hard to kill harder to kill.
Right.
Also, it makes stuff that's like they need 6+ to for this thing to like explode and do more. It doesn't do that. It's literally impossible.
Oh yeah. And is that I was going to look at it here. Subtract 1 from rules for attacks. It's all attacks. It's not just melee attacks.
Yeah.
So if you're in cover,
it's really good.
You're essentially getting 2.
No, because I mean covers add 1 to your save.
That's right. I'm sorry. Just keep mixing those up.
I know, I do that too.
All right, so I looked at, and again, went with a artifact that's the artifact of Gur, and that is a shard fist pelt. And it basically this is the this is the power that was in the Nurgle Everchosen battalion.
Yes.
So, a save roll of 6 or more for the bearer in the combat phase. The attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all his attacks have been made.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, even at like you could put this on a guy that has a lot of saves, and they're just like
or a lot of wounds, so they're going to need to roll a lot of attacks on it.
But even if he's got a good save, it just, or you put him out there like even like in that battalion, it was Chaos Warriors you put out there.
Right.
Tom was we got to give him credit because he came up with it, but they pushed those Chaos Warriors out there, and they just hit that, and people would hit it and explode, especially things that on a 6+ are getting.
But this is only one thing, so it's a lot different. I mean, you're putting it on one, like
one guy.
One guy.
Right.
But still.
So yeah.
Also, it's a little bit better because in the old edition, you didn't have to attack. Like you could force your unit choose not to attack, and that was something you did against things like the Everchosen battalion, and you can't do that against things like this. So
Everchosen battalion was like every unit in your army that was doing.
Yeah, I understand the Everchosen thing is a lot better, but you can't do, like, if someone wanted to avoid dealing with this, they can't.
Right.
If they're in combat with this thing, it's the only thing they can attack.
Okay. So next is artifacts of Chamon.
Chamon.
That's what people do when they say that, I guess. Is that metal?
Dude, I don't even know.
I don't know. They don't say it here.
Yeah, they don't.
I could actually dig through and find it. But anyway, the artifacts of Chamon. Go through what you got there.
I got the Argent Armor. A worse Grith Feather Charm. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for melee weapons that target the bearer. So you'll see a theme with all the artifacts I picked. They're all just really defensive and annoying. So I mean, you might choose, the reason you might choose this over the Grith Feather Charm is because there's another artifact in Chamon that you like, that you want to put on someone else, and then it's like, oh well, I also like, this is also a good effect, put this on someone else. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, if you could just pick artifacts from every realm, this would be worthless, but
right.
But yeah.
The one I wanted to talk about was was something called Gildenbane, and that I think it's situational, but it might be a save your bacon guy. If the enemy model is the bearer of an artifact of power, they cannot use the artifact if they are within 3 inches of the bearer of Gildenbane. So basically, anybody within 3 inches of the guy with Gildenbane can't use their artifact of power. And so, as Mark has got to some of his that are extremely defensive,
they can't use that.
They can't use it.
Or if you put this on a defensive guy, there's some weapon. There's actually a couple weapons in the different realms that are like, give a certain weapon a Ren -3.
That's one.
Yeah, that.
Right, and so, but like this would basically mean that like if your model with this was going after the guy with the Grith Feather Charm, or within 3 inches of the guy with Grith Feather Charm, it wouldn't work.
Right. Yep.
Your the lens of Screw Zinch, whatever that one is, which is
we'll get to later.
Get to later. So yeah, I kind of like this one. It's a little short range, but I think it may be the answer to, you could surprise somebody by having that, and they might not know how to deal with it because they're so used to dealing with having their artifact work a certain way.
Right. Yeah, I think it's worth trying out on something. Like, I might throw it on my Zinch list just because if I can put it on some like the Ogroid Thaumatarge and then charge the Ogroid Thaumatarge up really quickly or something like that, and then I won't have to deal with the Lens of Refraction bullcrap. We'll get to that. Anyways, what's next?
Artifacts of
AQ Shy.
The Realm of Fire.
There you go. So I picked Ignix Scales. I guess that's like a dragon or something like that. Anyways, it's roll a dice each time you allocate a mortal wound to the bearer. On a 4+, the wound is negated. This is a mortal wound only, not all wounds. If it was all wounds, that'd be really, really good. But I still think it's also really, really good because I play a lot of Scryer. And I play a lot of Warp Fire Projector Storm Fiends, and those things all do mortal wounds, and this thing would ruin my day.
Right.
So if Scryer is part of your local meta or something, this is a great artifact. Or if you're just getting destroyed by
that guy who keeps
mortal wound spells, and you already have, and you decided not to take the Lens of Refraction for some weird reason, this also might be a good choice.
So yeah, endless spells.
Yeah,
they
all do mortal wounds.
That's all they do, mortal wounds, and so this will be a good thing against them.
Yep.
So I went a little different because normally I'm more defensive and stuff, but I went with the Thermal Rider Cloak, and that guy adds 4 movement to your model, and the bearer may fly. So again, I'm thinking of something like a Great Unclean One or something.
There's 2 things you can do with it, right? You can either put it on something slow and actually make it go fast, or you can make something go fast, go real fast.
Right, and fly.
Also fly, which is very important.
Jump over, whatever. And grab objectives or get out there and grab that objective early. So
dude, make Volturnos make them 18 inches.
That's right. So yeah, I just thought that you put it on a, what is the Slanesh guys that move 14 or whatever, and then or some ridiculous amount. So it's a little different, but in the game, movement is so important, especially when you're playing the scenarios that are grabbing objectives.
I think movement's the most important part of the game.
Yeah, it's one of. But to me, but yeah, that's why I picked it. I think it's not overpowering like a lot of these other ones, but if you're especially if you're playing, more of a pickup friendly-ish type game, this is going to be one that you're probably going to want to look at and take. It's not going to kill you if you take it.
Yeah.
But is going to be almost always useful.
Come on, guys. Always rule of fun. It's not always about just destroying someone's day. Mr. Counterspell over there. So what do we have next? We got the Shaiish,
which is the Realm of
Death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. I know that one. So on this one, I get the Ethereal Amulet. Gives your guy Ethereal, which if you don't know what that is, it's ignore modifiers when making save rules for this model, positive and or negative. So you got a guy that's got save 4+, throw it on him. He's never gonna have to deal he's never gonna have to deal with Rend, but he's never also gonna be able to bump it up in any way. And this works better with the new Mystical Shield than the old one because
reroll ones.
You're rerolling ones, you're not modifying. So throw this on a dude that has a 3-up save. You can throw it on a dude that's got 3-up save and he's rerolling ones. It's pretty good.
Right. And so I was looking at these. I really wasn't. Some of these I wasn't. Well, I guess that's true of a lot of these. I wasn't very impressed with compared to others. These certain ones really popped out. But I kind of wanted to bring attention to the Ragged Cloak. Again, this is pretty situational, but it's once per battle. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, you can activate this. The bearer may not be chosen as a target of an attack during that shooting phase. So, yeah, basically you make yourself immune to shooting for 1 turn. Don't know if that's how useful that is, but like if you're going up against like a KO force, which maybe nobody's going to do anymore from what I hear. But yeah, that could be huge. Save your general from being shot away.
Yeah.
And I guess this leads to something we were going to talk about. We didn't talk about earlier. I don't know how list building and stuff is done with these things, but I think these artifacts really build well into your quote unquote sideboard. You know, like NashCon allowed 2 lists, or something that like lets you sideboard or change some of your stuff between games, or based on once you find out who your opponent is. Because like that type of artifact may not be good against a lot of
army you're facing.
Yeah, Beast Claw Raiders or something, right?
Yeah.
But it might be or corn or whatever, but it might be real useful against a shooty force. And so, yeah, you kind of have that available. I liked that choice. I think that this would be much more helpful in Dave's type of format.
Yeah, I think some of these artifacts are too polarizing. Like they either destroy an army. Well, some are just like strictly good. Like the Grith Feather Charm is just strictly good. But like I will get to the Lens of Refraction. I think that thing just poops on Magic lists too much to where like where the NashCon format is like personally I think the best type of format you can have, and or like a sideboard of artifacts or something that you can switch out. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is that like I do worry that it's situationally good against. So you're like, oh well, I'm playing whatever. I'm going to play this artifact that screws the guy I'm playing. But I think you tend to not if it's just so situational, nobody's going to take it.
Yeah, you're going to take the thing that is,
unless they basically. I mean, I could see some TO go basically saying, something like decide. This would be kind of cool. So decide what realm you're from, and every battle you get to pick your artifact after you get to pick your artifact, but you only get to use it once.
That'd be cool.
If you had a 5-game tournament, then you'd have to use only that. You'd be picking one, and at the end you'd have one you didn't use. And so I kind of like that idea, because you get a little bit of the balance and sideboard and stuff, and you don't get totally just that same artifact hosing. Or
yeah, because it seems like in each of the realms there's one good artifact, there's one good but not as good artifact, and then there's just meh.
But I think there's a lot that people are gonna like, ones that, like I mentioned before,
like there's ones that are situationally good is my point with the meh.
But there's other ones that are like, on a 6-up this happens. Well, people are going to tend to not take that, because you're going to take the -1 to hit always, or the 6-up something better happens.
Right.
You take the -1 to hit always because people are more conservative and defensive.
It's also a sure thing.
And count on a sure thing. You count on when things are going to work. So anyway, we sidetracked a little bit there. I did want to talk about the Banshee Blade, which is also a artifact in Shyish. And again, situational here. But if you were going to be building a Bravery Bomb list,
which apparently the Sylvaneth, the what are they called? The Sylvaneth guys that reduce bravery.
I don't know.
Apparently their battalion's really good right now. So
but also
on like one of them.
The death with the vampire count.
Sure.
Right? And so you could have this on a vampire count, and if you had the whatever of blood or whatever it is that you were running, Motarch of not blood. Anyway, Manfred. He has they have a lot of bravery and stuff. And so basically this guy has, each time you roll a hit of a 6-up for the weapon, again, it's on a 6-up though, roll 2d6 if the roll is equal to or more than the
6-up. You can buff your hit roll. So if you can buff, it'll be a 5 or 6.
Right. And it's each time you roll. Then you roll 2d6, and if that roll is equal to or more than the target bravery, inflict an extra d3 mortal wounds. So you could be generating like several d3 mortal wounds with it with an attack round with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very situational. You'd have to pull it into a bravery bomb list, but I think that would be kind of cool to do. So, trying to get back on track.
Ulgu.
Artifacts of Ulgu.
What is that the realm of?
I have no idea.
I
should know.
I don't know either. Don't worry. I picked the miasmatic blade. Also a worse Grith Feather charm. Pick one of the bearer's weapons to be the miasmatic blade. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target the bearer. Yeah, you can see I'm pretty boring in my picks. My dad has cooler picks than me.
Yeah, well, keep talking.
But again, this is going to be the same type of thing that you throw on a whatever you're throwing a Grith Feather charm on. You're going to throw this on too. It's just to make your more resilient guy more resilient, or maybe if you have like a glass cannon that you want to give some sort of resilience to, you can throw that on him too. And he won't die so fast. And it does affect shooting and melee to add.
Yeah.
This seems more like a relic than a weapon, but it's a weapon. It's the one weapon I picked, guys.
Right. Ulgu is the Realm of Shadow.
There we go. Realm of Shadow.
Pull out the big black book. Necronomicon. So yeah, I picked for Ulgu. I guess there's two. I thought two choices there, which were both better than what you picked, but who knows? The Dimensional Blade, depending on your hero again, one weapon gets Ren -3. So it depends. I mean, if your hero has a big Ren weapon already with multiple attacks, you're not going to want that. But if you had a guy that's got 4 attacks doing 3 damage with no Rend, this might be really good.
Or like pick like a hero. I don't know. Is there any heroes that like get like 3d6 attacks that like one of their weapons like just sucks? To note that you can't put this on.
You can't be on what?
You can't be on. You can't do this mounted, which kind of sucks because mounted things always get a ton of attacks.
Right. Is it hero or monster? The great spawn that gets 2d6.
No, it's only heroes.
Right. So, but yeah, so there's going to be. I know there's. I just can't think of them right now. There's heroes that have multiple attacks with no extra Rend, really.
Yeah. That this would work great on.
This would work great on. And the other thing I'm throwing out there is the Trickster's Helm, because it screws with people. It's a blue player's dream. Wizards in 8 inches reroll successful casting rolls, so you're gonna have to cast twice to succeed.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't pick that is because you have to get in close, so you're not gonna be able to use it on the first turn, unfortunately.
Right.
Well, I suppose that's not exactly true, but
yeah, I'm thinking the Dimensional Blade's probably going to be better. Well, again, it depends on your force, right? If you got a guy that's already got Ren -2 or Ren -3, there's no point in it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so off to Haish, which is that light?
That is light.
The Realm of Light. So all the
Realm of Light. I picked the Lens of Refraction. Screw this artifact.
Yeah, well, whatever. So we found pretty much all the Six Nations talk. This guy was in every list, and they didn't the team was only allowed an artifact once, but basically every team had this artifact. Every team had the griff feather charm too.
I don't know if it's exactly every team, but it seemed like every team.
So let's go through what this thing is and why you think it's so good.
So each time a friendly unit within 6 inches of the bearer would suffer any mortal wounds from a spell cast by an enemy wizard, roll a d3 and reduce the number of mortal wounds suffered by the result. So if you have, so say I'm trying to, so say you have this on your hero, and then I shoot an arcane bolt at your unit, and your unit's within 6 inches, which is pretty easy because it's not wholly within. So you can just do your little conga line thingy, and I shoot an arcane bolt.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll a d3 to do my damage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, on average, do 2 damage. You're gonna roll a d3 to reduce the number of mortal wounds, and I'm gonna do no damage. That's what's gonna happen.
A lot of spells only do 1 mortal wound, right?
I mean, a lot of spells do d3 mortal wounds.
Right.
And then even if on a so even on a d6, I'm doing let's just round up. I'm doing an average of 4 mortal wounds, and they're reducing that by
2.
On average 2. That just feels bad. And it's not the thing that is it's a friendly unit within 6 inches, so it protects itself and anything within 6 inches.
Not just itself. A lot of these artifacts are just itself.
Yeah, so it protects all the things. Like you can make it so.
Imagine if that griff feather charm had a bubble.
Well, that would also suck.
Right. I'm just saying that's kind of the what happens is.
Yeah, I personally think that this is the best artifact. I could be biased because I'm starting to build Tzeentch, and I really like all the stuff
they felt was necessary to balance.
They didn't think the 20% increase on every unit was enough. I mean, it's probably. I mean, you're probably right, to be fair, but I just think this thing is really good. I either think it should be wholly within, or on a 4+, it can do that, or
1
on a what?
Or it just does 1.
Or it reduces it by 1. Sure, something like that.
1 seems still very strong still.
1 seems great still. I don't think it's overly broken at 1. I think it's good. I still think it's great.
Right.
But I don't know if it's like
but there's
annoyingly broken.
So there's a lot of spells that basically say roll a 6 for every model, or roll a dice for every model. If you roll a 6, that model takes a mortal wound. How does that work on this? Every model's getting that roll?
No, it says unit. A friendly unit. But like, yeah, but I mean so like if you have a Gaunt Summoner, like the Gaunt Summoner is still pretty good against this because the Gaunt Summoner does you roll a dice for each model in the unit. On a 4+, they take a mortal wound. So if you do this on 20 models on average, you're gonna hit 10 dudes and do 10 wounds, and this only reduces it by a d3. But I mean, still, it's really good against like the Bolt of Tzeentch, Arcane Bolt, basically anything that does d3 or d6 mortal wounds to something from a spell. This is really good against.
Really good against most endless spells, because almost every endless spell is a d3 or a d6 mortal wounds that are offensive ones.
Yes, but I don't know if that works.
Sure it does.
It says from a spell cast by an enemy wizard. So I don't know if like what.
Interesting question.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
a lot of them are like once you do the move is when they do the mortal wounds.
Right.
I think that on the first phase it might trigger against it, but in the subsequent phase when you start moving it only.
Well, what I would argue is that
it was cast
by an enemy wizard.
Right.
And so if I cast it and you moved it on top of me, it wouldn't work.
Right.
But if I cast it and you had this and I moved it on top of you, it would work because.
Right. I think it's a good FAQ question. But yeah, that's how I also read it as.
So it's kind of interesting. I mean, if both people had that artifact,
right,
and somebody turned an endless spell around, it wouldn't it wouldn't necessarily be stopping it. It would only stop the one cast by the enemy wizard.
Yeah, and this doesn't just neuter Tzeentch lists. Legions and Nagash has a lot of spell casting. Like any list with Nagash, this is gonna hurt because Nagash casts a lot of spells, tries to do a lot of mortal wounds through that stuff.
Except for Hand of Death.
Yeah. Anything? What else? What else casts a lot of spells to do a lot of mortal wounds? Some Skaven lists with the Warpstone Sparks can do that.
Right. And oh, that's not a spell. I was going to say your Warpfire Projector is not a spell.
Yeah, no. But it just like these things just seem great. I don't know. This seems like the best artifact, but I could just be biased and
the other
salty or something. I don't know.
I mean, Seraphon's list, right? Do a lot of spells.
Sure, it's good against any spellcaster.
Right.
And this is like one of those things where I like Dave's format with Nashcon. Say I build two lists. I built a spellcasting heavy list, and I built a Zangor Enlighten list or a Zangor Skyfire list. If I see one of their lists has one of these things in it, I'm playing the Zangor list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dealing with it.
Right. But then you could take that one list that has the thing to get the guy within 3, and anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. And then that thing dies, and then you're sad.
So I had picked out one here, which, assuming they don't FAQ, and by the way, I really, really am hoping
they do.
They make this FAQ change, and that is the command point bomb. A lot of units they changed to FAQ'd it to say this a unit can only be affected by this command ability once a turn, but a lot of them they didn't, and it just seems.
Yeah, the command ability should just be you can like one command ability per person or whatever.
You can only be affected by a command ability once a turn or once maybe a phase.
No. I just think that this command ability can only be used once a turn. Done.
But I mean, I guess even if you did like Marathi has the command ability to let somebody shoot. I mean, I think that would make the most sense what you're saying. But you could have her basically make multiple units shoot, even if it was restricted by by unit.
Yeah, that's why I think mine is the best.
Like basically saying add 1 to the unit's attacks. You could have 2 units if you spent 2 command abilities. That's not like game breaking.
Yes, it is.
It has as opposed to adding, using 3 command points and getting that unit getting.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But anyway, assuming if they don't change that, I think you might see this Aether Quartz Brooch, and that's
it was in one of the Six Nations lists.
And it wasn't. Oh yeah, and they had a high command points, right?
Yeah, they had they brought 5 extra command points, just with points, and then they had this on one of their guys.
Yeah, and so this is each time you spend a command point on a 5-up, receive a command point. It says each time you spend a command point. So it's got to be the command. I think it's got to be the command point of the. It's not any command point. It's one being spent by that guy's command. If you're using that guy's command ability.
No, I think it's any.
I don't know. Each time you spend a command.
Because all the other ones say the model.
Yeah, so it's each time you spend a command point. You're right. I think it's not the model. So, anyway, that is.
On average, you'll gain probably 2 extra command points off of this, which can be game breaking sometimes.
Right, especially in the games where kind of at the end where bravery is gone. That they're using to survive bravery tests.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, battle shock test.
Battle shock.
I forget what that's called, but yeah.
Battle shock.
No, but there's a command ability to
to basically make yourself immune to battle shock.
Yeah.
Right. So where are we at? I don't know how long we're into this. We're about an hour.
About an hour.
So that's what we thought of our quote-unquote quick review of Artifacts of the Realms. I know on the title of the show I basically put spells, but realizing that it was going to be this long just to go through what we had, it'd take 8 hours to go through every one. And if you did the spells, we didn't feel those were as important because spells are not part of your force when you build your force. If you are fighting in the realm of fire, you're going to look up the realm of fire spells.
Yeah, these are actual. These are actual. This is part of list building. This is a part of the core part of the game. Like, you're not always going to be in whatever realm. You might not be in any realm.
Sorry about that. So yeah, if you like the realm of light has the banishment.
I think that's
broken, but sorry.
Mute yourself, dude.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for now, right?
Okay there.
No.
I think that's it though, yeah.
Turning red. Yeah, so that's it for now. I guess we will try and put out a schedule. We're going to try and get more of at least the shows announced ahead of time and get some guests coming on. I already mentioned a couple that we were talking about getting on to go, like broken combos, list building, what to expect at a tournament, building a community. Those are kind of topics that we are talking about having for shows, and trying to get some experts on because I'm not. So we'd like to get those shows published ahead of time so people will know when they're coming up.
It's really my fault.
And my fault too.
Well, work, man, it's tough.
Yeah. Welcome to real life.
I know.
So that's it for now. We will see you guys
hopefully next week.
Hopefully next week. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.